Good morning and welcome to Coffee Time with Kauffman, the comfortable place to talk about women's leadership. Today's guest is Prerna to talk to us about grit, perseverance, and patience for creating success in career and life. Hey, Prerna.
Hi Maria, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for inviting me over the show.
It is a pleasure to have you here. Prerna is an analytical individual with 7 years of IT experience in providing software and data analytics products. She has a deep interest in and ability to identify and structure complex business problems and formulate solutions with a keen sense of attention to detail. Prerna demonstrates an ability to leverage strong predictive and descriptive analytical and technical skills to analyze and transform data, infer implications and associations between different pieces of data. And with all of that, she suggests how to take action. Before we get into Prerna's success story, my name is Maria Kauffman and I'm a life coach. Today, I'm done drinking my coffee and I am now drinking some red raspberry tea. What are you drinking, Prerna?
It's lemon tea. It's so there's a story behind it. I saw a couple of your shows. I noticed that you have same cup, so I just took this cup out of my closet to
I have
have
that
it on
same
the tea.
mug. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
So yeah, it's lemon tea. I always start my day with lemon tea.
That's
Um,
your normal?
yeah, that's my morning routine. So
Nice.
it's with some turmeric, lemon tea with turmeric. It cleanses your body, so it's
Ooh,
good to have it in empty stomach. So that's that.
wow. That's a nice health tip as an extra. Thank you. Awesome.
Oh
So,
my God.
Prerna, tell us about what life was like for you as a little girl growing up.
So yeah, it was like like a normal lifestyle. I but why I said normal because that was normal for me. We haven't went outside our own cocoon that moment, and so I belong from rural India, and like I was surrounded with all those nice and innocent people. There was no cleverness or wittiness around you, and it was very close to nature because it's rural, so it was filled with farms, trees, and just so those things. But good thing that my parents they were educated, and they wanted to have a different future for me. So they were more interested in for me putting my time in studies, and like basically they wanted me all rounder. So they promote me to play, study, or eat healthy food. So my father used to say, do whatever you do it fully. So that was my childhood, like just having fun in whatever I was doing. So
Awesome.
that's what I remember from my days.
Yeah, so so thank you for the clarification because, as we dig deeper, I find it interesting. So you kind of have this sense of what normal is for you. So
Hmm.
fun is important, education is important, and living life fully, right?
Yes.
So that, and it sounds like too, tell us a little bit about your the influence from your parents. You talked a little bit about your dad there. He was keen on education.
Right. So my dad is like he has done his higher studies from Russia and all. So he knew the value of education, although we he was working in a rural place, and that was by choice. He had some family values which he wanted to like live by. And so he wanted all of our like siblings to be well educated and be independent. But he never forced us. He was like, if you want to study, I'll be there for you in whatever capacity you want. But if you want to just waste money into anything else, I won't support you. So that was, I think, that was blackmailing, but that was fun way of like my parents convincing me like to have education because they knew the value. We didn't know that value when we were kids. They knew. My mom was a stay at home mom, and she knew the value of independence. So she was like, she all, I remember those two lines. And I was surprised to see that judge like that
Ruth
Supreme Court
Bader.
judge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I get tongue twister, when I call her name. So her mom said the same things, and I got to know that later. But my mom used to say that be independent and be a better person, like so like like learn and grow. So that was her motto. So she wanted, like she used to give her example, like I don't want want a life like me for you. So be independent, and to be independent you have to study. There is no other option. so that's what embedded in our like core values, that education is the key.
Yeah.
All our systems, we focus most of our time in education. It's That didn't mean that we didn't do any other stuff. It's just that that was high priority that time. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like too, there was this sense of, education is important, but hey, let's have fun with it. So
Mhm.
it sounds like that was the influence, that was the cocoon that you were raised in. So it sounds like learning was very fun for you even from a childhood.
Yes, yes, yes.
Can you tell us anything that you remember, like any stories of, learning math? What was, maybe your favorite subjects or different things that you explored as a
Yeah.
child?
Absolutely, and maybe that defines why I am in STEM as of today, because I had always that interest in maths. Since kid, I remember, and maybe my geography teacher, if he gonna hear this, he gonna beat me. But I remember in my geography classes and history classes, I used to sit back in my class and I used to solve maths problem because I love that much that maths problem, and I was always way ahead from our syllabus because I was like, oh, this is done. What next? So next chapter, next chapter. And by mid of each year, I used to complete my maths textbook. Only that interest was only for maths, like no other subject. I don't know why. And then once that syllabus was like used to complete, I used to change the books. Like every edition has their different maths problem. So once that one book is finished, I take another book, another book. So that was my like interest. Like maths was something which I was very interested. And my dad is in biology. Like he was head of department of my biology department. So I think by default biology is in my blood, because like I used to hear them talking like those terminology and everything. So subconsciously I used to gain that knowledge. And since we have that in our syllabus also, so by default I used to excel in biology more than maths, although my interest used to lie in math. So that's how I started, and that's the thing which I remember from my like school days, that I used to spend a lot of time in solving maths and biology, and chemistry was also interesting to me. Physics was little bit like I side, but to be in like in a STEM profession, we used to have good knowledge of physics, chemistry, and maths, or physics, chemistry, and biology. Like it depends which career path you are choosing. So yeah, that's how I landed up into STEM, because of that maths, like spark.
So you would seek out math books.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that must have been, something that your dad was also then, hey, as long as she wants a math book, I'm going to help her gain access to all of this.
Yes. So resource wise, I never faced any problem which was in my parents' capacity. Uh, so either it's book, or good food, or like utilities, or in whatever capacity they used to do, they were there, financially also. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your mom. So your mom, it sounds like at least right now you have a sense and you can tell us that your mom wanted a better life for you. Did you have a sense for that whenever you were younger and growing up? Or is that something that you reflect on now?
Yeah, it's something which I reflected once I became independent, and I saw that value of being independent, that you can take your decisions on your own. You don't have to. Money is the key, like in today's world, if you have money you can do a lot of things. So by independent, like obviously your value system enhances you by education, by meeting people, and meeting different culture. Your value system all always it enhances. But by being dependent also you get money. So I see the value of being independent in all the aspect, like how my core system or value system changed, and it evolved, and how I became independent in terms of finance. And so I appreciate her efforts, and like her anger towards me if I never used to study, and she was like pissed off. So now I understand
Oh,
why she was so like convinced, like she was so much into studying, because she knew that, like, if I study properly, if I pursue ahead, I will be independent. And so, but at that time she didn't want to tell me why. She just wanted to tell me that don't want a life like me. Be independent.
right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting, right? Because and then you're a little kid, you kind of don't question it, but it's
yeah,
interesting, later in life to be able to reflect on that and kind of be like, "Oh, thanks, mom. You kind
yes.
of really did me a favor."
Yeah, that's what happened. Like that time, like you said, as a kid, you don't know this values. Like what is independence? Why I'm doing whatever I want to do. Like as a kid, also you're doing the same thing, but you don't know the value which it's gonna bring when once you grow up. So that's like whole credit where I'm now. I give to my parents and the people whom I met throughout my career, because I have learned from each person. I have learned something or other thing. Like I said, I was from rural India. I didn't have many thing, of the self. Like I had to learn, and then pitch forward. So in order to learn, there were a lot of factors like people and resources and everything. So that's the journey.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about what the expectation was for household chores growing up?
Okay. There was zero expectation, to be honest. Like my dad told my mom that if they will come into kitchen. So by they meant like my sister and me, because my brother was in a government school, boarding government school. So he was not in house. So my dad used to say, if both of them start doing stuff in kitchen, maybe their interest will like go in that field, and maybe they
Dr-
want to study. Yeah. And then they so he just didn't want us to distract, because I think as a parent, you know where your kids interest lies. You don't know yourself, but your parents know. So my sister and I and my brother, we all used to do good in studies. Like even I remember I used to study an hour or two every day, but I used to be in top 5 every year. So
uh,
my parents probably saw that, like that they are interested in studies. So he didn't want us to divert our focus. So he asked my mom that if they'll start coming, then they won't pay attention to studies, because the time get divided. And my mom was like, no, this is my capacity, I can help you in this. You don't have to come to kitchen, you don't have to do anything, you just study. so
yeah.
so there was zero expectation. To answer your question, there was zero expectation in any household chores.
Yeah.
uh, but uh,
Did
but
you
yeah.
did you
So
kind of
that's
recognize that also growing up? So, you're growing up in this house where education and studying was more of a focus in a fun way, maybe not as much expectation on the typical traditional household chores, maybe,
right.
like for women anyways. So, did you have other girlfriends that when you went to school and you had normal conversations, did you kind of understand that there was a difference?
Yes. So you're right. Like there were a couple of friends of mine, and to be honest, that it depends on person to person. So my point here is like, it doesn't matter if you are doing household chores or not. it doesn't
Mm.
it doesn't matter that it's going to impact your studies. Like I said, it depends on person to person. So my friends, like girlfriends, per se, there were a couple of them who used to cook also, because they were like three sisters, no brother, and like father used to go out of town for his job. So to help her mom, she used to cook sometimes, because she used to have like smaller siblings. And uh, but that did never prove that they didn't do well in studies. Like in my class, they used to be a good students as well. So I don't know how they used to manage that, but I have seen my friends who did that as well. And that was not by choice, maybe more like by responsibilities. uh, but they like, so what I now when I reflect, I think that there was no relation between both of them. Like
Right.
Maybe because I was like that I can only focus on one thing at a time. That's why my parents, never wanted me to get distracted from my core aim. But yeah, there were people who were like, doing multiple stuff, but yet doing good in study. So
Awesome. I love that perspective too, because everybody does have a different situation, different influences, and really it's kind of by choice. There was
right.
definitely something special about you though to be in, geography class or history class and be in the back choosing to do math. So as you're progressing through school and you're getting into those high school years, uh, that must have been an obvious interest. Tell us what high school was like as you were starting to prepare for higher education and maybe having some kind of idea of where you want to take your life and your career.
So yeah, so in my case, I learned, like little by little every time. So like I said, when I was in high school, I never saw any light beyond it because it was very secluded atmosphere. But I knew that, like for my senior secondary school, like plus two, we used to call that in India. So for 11th and 12th, I need to go to a good school because if I get good, education, because those 2 years are the deciding years for you to get and into some entrance exam. Like, if you want to go to medical or engineering or anything, those 2 years are the like course. Those are the courses which will you will be tested upon when you enter, any entrance exam and all. So I knew that those 2 years will be important. Like I have to be good, in those 2 years if I want to pursue so and so. So that was my aim. That time, that was the only aim, that to have a good school for my 11th and 12th. And somehow that didn't happen because of, some mishaps. But I had to be still in my hometown because, like I said, I did good. I got good marks and everything. But that time, luck and other things didn't worked in my favor. So I had to stay in my hometown, and I had to pursue my plus two there. But that was a downfall because, like I said, that those 2 years were very important, and I couldn't get good education that time. Wherein other fellow mates of mine, they were having good education from Ivy League schools type of thing. So I was going to that competition where people were from different background and different education level and all. So I had to drop, like I had to drop a year just to prepare myself to bring myself up to that mass, so that I can be competitive with them. So I prepared and I applied for entrance examination, and by God's grace, I did good. And I landed my first undergrad school. I did my specialization in computer science. So, but and after that, things changed. Like then I saw a bigger picture because that time I got interaction with people who were coming from different cities and different states in India. So they were bringing something new which I didn't know. So I that's what I told. That's why I was telling you. Like even in my undergrad, I studied like I learned from my professor as well as my friends because they taught me a lot of things which I never knew, or I didn't carry it from my, like high school. And they studied it back in high school, so they used to be good than me. So in my spare time, I used to give extra time just to bring myself up to the pace and all. So that was a challenging time, but that changed my life actually.
Wow. Well, that's pretty impressive. At that point in time, was it more of a personal drive and interest? And what was the support? Because it sounds like your parents have always been incredibly supportive and helpful in that way, but something was changing there. And
Right.
it sounded like you were very determined to take this education path that was going to open up these possibilities. Was it more
Yeah.
self-driven? What can you say about that?
Um, so like I won't say self-driven 100%, but like 20% of me wanted to explore that world, but 80% contribution was my family. Like when I say family, my sister brother, like my sister and brother both, because they were elder to me, they have seen world before me. So they were like, you have done so good and you have prepared and you got this marks and everything. Once so my sister used to say, like, just focus on studies. Even if you are going to undergrad school, that phase is very, like tricky. If you do good, you will do good in life. If you if you fail, it could be, like a tough phase. So she was just preparing me to just spend those 4 years in whatever, like focused way I have done so far. And so that's why I'm saying, like, whole family was supportive of me. And when I saw everybody, saying that, this is the more important years, every time they say this coming years are more important years. So like, coming 4 years are very okay. So yeah. And
Yeah.
then so I did little bit of research in the sense which field I should go in, which field is booming, or those type of things. I talked to my friends, my teachers, and like those type of things. My brother and sister, they used to talk to their like friends, like which field it should be better. So that time computer science was very like happening field. And I had no idea about computer. I didn't know even to
Oh.
make a folder that time, to be honest. I was so like backdated, outdated in terms of computer. And so but then I chose computer science, and they were friends of mine who used to have computer courses in high schools. So obviously they used to do better than me. But they were so nice at the same time that they knew from where I'm coming, and they used to give me extra hours in the lab just to sit with me, like pinpoint me how to create a folder, how to create an account, how to do this, like basic stuffs, which now when I think, it's very like funny that I didn't know these basic stuff. So but I really thanks my friends for that, because I couldn't ask these silly questions to my professor, right? Like how to create a folder. So those were the friends who supported me, that time, who brought me to that place where I then did what I did. So
Oh, wow. Okay. Right. So you had this sense like you were in this environment that you had to kind of level up to.
right,
You
right.
clearly earned the right to be there, but then, it was more like, you had the momentum and you had to continue it, whatever it took.
Hmm.
Friendships. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. And
Cool.
that's why I said perseverance, because that was tested that time. I was like, everybody was like used to do it in an hour of lab. I was like, I just struggling, So yeah, but with
Yeah, talk
perseverance,
about right, right.
yeah.
So that's our title. We're talking about grit, perseverance, and patience. So it
Yeah.
sounds like clearly perseverance, and along there is that grit. That is
Mhm.
that daily or that regular. What does it take to learn the next thing? And then a transformation must be happening.
Yeah.
What do you remember, about maybe making that decision to get into computer science and then getting through uh, into college and taking that
Mhm.
journey?
So yeah, like I said, I always took my life, like, or my career, like I never saw a bigger picture. I used to see just what's
Oh,
gonna happen in next 2 years, because I had shallow knowledge that time. And so when I was in undergrad, I saw that, okay, once my undergrad is completed, I need to have a good job, so that I can be independent, and I can pay back to society in terms of my work, and whatever I thought I will be doing once I'll get a job. So that time I was aiming just to get a good job, and then I got a job in Tata Consultancy Services in Mumbai, India. I worked there for a couple of years. And so for me, life changed. I never pre-planned anything. I never thought that I'll be going to US for my masters and all, like when I was kid. No, that never happened. My life always happened in bits and pieces. So when I went to my undergrad, I thought, okay, join a job. I joined job. I did good in that job. I got good mentors, and like leaders and everyone. And then again, my colleagues were there, like who were pursuing MBA from, like, at either Canada or US. So I saw that GMAT is something which we need to, GMAT and TOEFL are the two exams which we as international students have to take in order to study abroad. That time I got to know that, oh, people can go abroad to study, like on by their own. I was just thinking that if you're rich and you have so much money, or plenty, then only you can go abroad and all. But that notion completely changed when I saw my colleagues preparing for those exams. And they were like, I was lucky in terms of my friends and colleagues. So um, they guided me, like what exams need to be taken, where they are taking coaching from, and everything. And they were like born and brought up in metropolitan cities, so they knew those things in advance. So they were spinning their head to get those things in their career. But I was very new to that perspective. So they guided me, like where to study, how to study, and what happens once you get admitted, how what's the whole process. And that kicked like something in me. And I remember my dad used to say, like this, when you ask what is your wishes, and also I remember he told once that I want one of my kids to study abroad. So that thing was there in subconscious. And then when this thing happened, like I saw my friends applying for GMAT, I thought, okay, it's something which I can also do. What it gonna need? Like I need to study hard because I was not that proficient in English that time, and or I was good in math, so it
Yeah.
tests quantitative and qualitative, like your math skill and your English skill. Math, I was like just like that.
Solid.
Yeah.
Absolutely solid. That's my thing.
Yeah. But in my English test, like English section, I used to get very poor marks. So I had to, like learn a lot of words, lot of like comprehensions and everything. So I did my fair share of effort to get that marks up, and it went up, and I got that's how I got admitted to NJIT. But and then before that, I went to University of Richmond. But that's when like I foresee that I can study abroad and I can go to US. So I did my GMAT and TOEFL, and like that's how that was the turning point in my career, because for me it was like simple job, and then maybe get promotion in job, and then again promotion, like like traditional path. But
Right. Yeah.
that acquaintance with my colleagues and all, that changed my perspective, and that's how things changed. I came to US,
Awesome.
and then yeah, things changed.
Right. So a lot of grit. It just like one step after another. Like you said, it was never, necessarily a long-term vision. It was just you were taking every opportunity, and putting some grit into it. And like, okay, if I need to study for a GMAT, okay, if I need to do comprehension skills, okay, whatever it is, it's like, yes, you're just always saying yes to
Yes,
these challenges. But the more you say yes, it sounds like these windows and doors of opportunity were actually opening for you.
absolutely.
Along
Yeah.
with the seed, hey, study abroad that your dad might have planted. So now all of a sudden
Hmm.
you're studying abroad. What was that like to make that transformation?
My mom was scared to death. Like she was like,
Aw.
I was the youngest kid in my all siblings, and she was very skeptical. She was very skeptical the day when I left my hometown for my undergrad. That day she was also very scared, like how she gonna survive in this world. Like she has not seen like different worlds. She has just been in this beautiful, comfortable place. So she was very skeptical. My dad had that confidence that she will do good. Uh, and so when I was planning to come to US, that time it was like, oh my god, it was on a different level. Like my mom was like, no, what's there in studying abroad? Why can't she study here? Like she was so scared. So my whole family was convincing her that it's like there are a lot of Indians there, and people in US, they are very supportive. There is no crime. So everybody Google the good points about US, and how it's better in other perspectives and everything, and just to convince her that like she's not going in wrong place or wrong hands. It will be a much safer place than what she is right now. And
Oh,
somehow she got convinced. Yeah.
that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple different ways that could go. So it sounds like your mom had this dream that she wanted a better life for her children, and this better life is coming, but it can be scary, especially when you're working on a big dream in life. So I think that's sweet that people took the effort to research and find the positive aspects, because it's very easy to look at the negative.
Yeah.
So your mom was kind of supported by this other, sense of community to
Mhm.
help her help you with your dream. That's beautiful.
Right. And then my dad was financially there. Like when I was planning to come here, like I said, my father was like, if you want my money for studies, I can give you whatever I have, even though I have to do what, so, like, see, he speaks very philosophical when he speaks. So I knew that I will have his back because I am investing his money into studies. So
Right. But
it
there's
was a good
layers
financial
then. It's
support.
like
Yeah.
you're putting your grit in, and then he's matching it.
Right. Right. he did like in his own capacity, and that was a big relief, because that time I was not earning that much that I could have afforded, masters in US.
Yeah.
If not been my parent, there are other channels, but then it needs a lot of like paperwork and everything. But in my case, I was privileged that my dad helped me in my starting years, and then once I came here, I started my own job and part-time jobs and all. Then I was able to support myself. But that phase when you kick start your career in or your education in US, that was the key time when my dad was there financially, and it helped me. Like that block was not there. You didn't have that big stone on your head that, oh, you have to take care of finance also. You knew that, oh, that will be taken care of. Now I just have to study. So
Right. Right. So
yeah.
then study you did. So then now you're in the US, you're working on higher education. What were the challenges like for you during that time?
It's very funny challenge which I think most Indian faces. Like there are few terminologies which we uh, use differently in India, and here it is different. Like you guys call gas, right? We call it petrol. So when I came here, like I was like, people were like like gas station, and I'm like, what is it? So there were a couple of things like once you go to restaurant, you get bill. You call it bill, we call it check. So I used to call it check, and I was like, okay, I'm ready for check, and they were like, what? so so I used, like I said, I always learned and grew. So I started hearing what other people say, and then they were like, okay, it's bill. So I started saying bill, and then this traffic, like driving also was different for people. Like in our it's left-handed, and this is right-sided. So a lot of those like funny incidents happened, and if I can, if I have some time, and I would like to quote that incident, because when I came here, in India, when you cross a road, you have to check right and left, and then you cross the road. Okay, and I don't know whether it happens in other countries as well, but in India, I know for a matter of fact. But when I came here, and I was waiting for the cars to cross, and then I'll cross. So I was waiting right and left. I was waiting for the cars to cross, and they were waiting for me because they were seeing me that I am gonna cross.
Oh,
In US, you usually give pedestrian right of way, right? I didn't know that time. I was waiting for them, they were waiting for me, and then there was a point when one of the drivers, he waved his hand and he said, "Please go." I was like,
you're like,
"What
oh,
just happened?"
what just happened? That's got to be very weird.
Yeah. So and then like then again by observance, and like by reading stuff, that what's like what is this because I had this curious mind, so that happened, and that didn't stop me thinking like why it happened. So I just google like, what is right of way and everything, and so then I
Really?
realized, okay, pedestrians get right of way, and that's why it happened in a parking lot, so that made sense, like why they were stopping for me.
Oh,
So those were the funny incidences when it like in day to day basis what happened when I came here. But professionally, obviously it was completely different experience, because I met different people. US has a different culture, so I met people with different culture. I i i uh, i had to be honest, I had little difficulty at start when to understand the accent, because we speak in different accent. American accent is a little bit different. Um, but gradually I got a hold of it, and then again I said, like, I used to give my grit. I watch TV shows with subtitles, and just to get that hold, that what
wow.
what's being said, and how it's being said. And I'm still learning. I don't say that I excel at the skill, but it's a I consider myself as work in progress. So uh, I'm just, I'm continuing learning the accent, and there are so many words in dictionary that you don't know of. So that those are things which I still continue, and those were the things which I learned in US. Freedom is the key which I learned. Like I had never lived so free when I grew, like when I grew up in India, because I lived in Mumbai. I used to go Delhi, and those places are, which is sad to say, but not that safe as of today for women, or girls. So they here I didn't have that like problem. Like it was free. Like you can go anywhere you want. You can. There are little caveats, like you have to be careful, but
Sure.
it's on a bigger scale. It was the freedom which I never experienced, like I experienced in US, and I really liked it, and maybe that's the reason I never wanted to go back.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
freedom, good.
Well, so that's interesting. And thank you for sharing that perspective, because it sounds like not only, from a personal freedom, but even from your career, you really were growing the freedom to take a career path wherever you wanted to take it.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like there's a professional part certainly that was happening, but it's interesting how your personal part also plays into that. So what was it like then to get through your master's, and then to start to at least have some kind of a vision of what you wanted your career to be?
Right. So same thing. Even in masters, when I wanted to do MS, I didn't know which subject I should be taking. And US has this flexibility that you can take anything. Any combination is okay. Like in India we have predefined that if you are taking this as main course, these are the secondary courses and those. US, it's so much wide open that you can take any subject. You can take psychology and maths. You can take X and Y. And I was like, what my where my interest actually lies, and now I'm doing masters. I have to better good in whatever I'm gonna do. So I took a lot of online courses just to explore where that spark lies, which field is booming right now, which field is have that math component in it, and those type of things. I did very experiment that time to just to find out that niche which I had. And then luckily I did find that data science was something which was like holding my interest. Like I used to study late night those online courses, because it was like, oh my god, this is a completely different world, those type of things. So that sparked that actually confirmed my decision that which subject I would be taking masters, and I did it. My college, my university offered that course, so I pursued that. And then there was never looking back, because when I did my first year, I maybe because I had that interest, I was doing good in my first year. So second year I got part-time job in a a real world project, and with a company. So I was studying also, and I was working on also on that field. So that it gave me educational experience as well as professional experience. And then that gonna get that got piled up by other company and other projects and all. So gradually I then transitioned. That was in masters only that transition happened very organically. Other in other cases, I used to put extra efforts to get into like that direction. But in masters it happened like second year I started working, and then that company saw my potential and they liked me, so they offered me full time. And then I once my master was done, I continued working full time. And then uh, after that I joined another company, and then now the company which I am working right now, DLP, it's it's one of, like, I have never seen such a company who has that core value as of mine, like so we have this eight core values. And I you will be surprised that I have all those eight values in me, and my company saw it when they were interviewing me. My hire Matt, he said me, you know what, what I like most about you, that you stand by all our core values. So in that interview process, and probably my resume and all, he saw that. And he and I'm privileged to have a company like that, who values that. Like, there's one thing to say that you have to manage your professional and personal life, but I haven't seen a company who put efforts and time for their people to, like, they don't give you a platform to do that. Like, I in my company, they have a compass day where they just dedicate one day where all employees sit and they decide what their life gonna be 5 years down the line, 3 years down the line, 10 years down the line. And that day is whole devoted to that. And they give you tools, they give you how to do that, like what
Right.
direction and all. But I
Wow,
was so surprised.
that's pretty awesome, because it sounds like then, it's almost the dream life,
Mhm.
especially if you're in this career path, and you want to work for a company that does this and they utilize your very unique skills and talents. It's kind of nice to be in connected through those values. So it
Mhm.
almost is like a great union.
Yeah,
You have
absolutely.
a pretty interesting story about how you came about this. So let's take a step back. So when you start working, and you're in the US, tell us a little bit about what your connection then was with your parents. Obviously, you're very far away. What was that like to stay connected to such a loving and supportive family? And now you're starting a whole new life someplace else.
Right. So it was very challenging, to be honest. In India, we get a lot of help. Like I said, I never used to go to kitchen. I never used to do any chores and all. Cut to in US, you have to do each and everything by yourself, and that if you are a student because you don't have that much money to
Especially, right.
yeah. So I remember calling my mom every now and then, either to ask any recipe or to ask, like how do you do this, cleaning of, like what you put in cleaning liquid, like when you clean the whole house, or like bathroom and all, because I had no idea. So I used to call her every now and then, and she was like, she used to get, sometimes she used to get frustrated, like, why didn't you see when it was happening in the house?
Right. You were too busy studying math.
I know.
So,
So that was something which, and luckily by that time, like internet was very efficient in my part of India also. So my mom and my dad, we used to call video call and put it on standby to show her, like, okay, now I have tried this, and I've done this, now next, what next? And the weirdest and the funniest part is that I didn't know even the spices, like which spice is what. So when she used to tell me recipe, like, okay, that this much of this spice and this much, I was like, how does it look? And then I used to do video call. I'm like, okay, what is this and what is this? So those were the days, like, when I was just struggling to get myself, food, just in order to, like, so but that was a phase, and it still give me smiles when I think about it. uh, so that was a struggling time in, like, my health wise, I had to focus on. But emotionally also, I used to feel alone because I was the only one here at that time. My sister came late, very late, to states, but when I came, I was alone, family wise. So I used to call everyone, and like, my but I am, maybe I was not, like, I never used to cry and all, but my mom, whenever she used to see my face, she started. And when I start seeing her, crying, I
oh,
used to be get much more emotional. So
oh,
those were like starting couple of months were like, emotionally draining, and then like I said, routine wise also it's draining. But
yeah.
then gradually I aced it. Like, now I do a good cooking, I might say, because my whole family eats it. So so I think I did a pretty good job there. uh, and then the studies wise also I had to struggle. Like I said, accent wise, I had to watch like late night shows and all that, because once you complete your classes, I come back, and then I used to watch series and all, just to get that accent, how what they mean when they say something. Or so those were the extra efforts which I used to put in. And then I still I'm still learning a lot, like, how to be succinct and all those type of things. My
Yeah.
professor, and like I said, like, I have always been so privileged to have such good colleagues, friends, and professors. They knew that from, which maybe they have so many versatile students. They knew, like, which student needs what focus and all. They used to give me extra, attention and time, and like, feedback, that how you can be better and what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But yeah, starting a year or two, I that was like challenging, but then I got that groove.
Yeah. Well, certainly you got a groove. So as I read your bio and some of your specialties, you definitely have some very unique skill sets. Obviously, those skill sets are in demand in the world of data. Uh, so at some point in time, you're looking for a job. It sounds like, culture and values are very important, but you also have this powerhouse of skills and abilities that are in demand.
Hmm.
So as you look for a position, or as you're seeking whatever change at the time, what was that like for you? And is there a point in time where you start to see a bigger vision on where you want your career to go? And how does that work for you?
Right. So I think, like there's one thing which I always want to live by, that I want my brain to be active, if I'm on deathbed. So in order to do that, you have to keep learning new things. Okay. So and in profession which I am right now, it's like every day you get something or other thing which is new to you. Like you keep on learning those things, and that's how those skill sets got accumulated, because every time I used to get challenged, and I prefer those jobs where I get challenged. I don't want to be in my comfort zone, because that will bore me. So and that's how it started, accumulating all those skills, because one after another I used to, get challenged. Okay, I don't know this. Okay, let me go and study. Okay, I don't know this tool, I have to study it. And so till date also, I am studying. I'm doing one of my other certifications on a tool which I'm currently working. So I have learned that, knowledge never go to waste, and that my mom used to say, like, whenever you study or learn anything from anybody, it would never go waste. Maybe you won't get return on that investment that at that point of time, but eventually sometime you will get that. And that is something which is stuck into my mind. I was like, okay, if she is saying it, it could be, and then now I get that. With my experience, I am, validating that belief. That's actually happening. Something back in days, sometime I studied something, or learned something, and now it's getting, implemented, but it never went, to waste. So those type of things, and that's why that's what I thought. Like, if you get challenged, you have to study. Either you study and, like, overcome that obstacle, or you surrender. So I prefer the first one, that, I just study and I just, okay, what next?
Right. Kind of a bit of having faith, but that's where patience. So it sounds like some of these things, your mother's and both your mother and your father influences. It sounds like your mother had a similar teaching that Ruth
Yeah,
Bader Ginsburg's teacher, mother taught her as
yeah.
well. Be independent and be a lady, and just to have that patience. So
Yeah.
that's quite a beautiful thing to hold a long space for, right? Because it sometimes it does take a little bit of time to get there. In your career, and I have to imagine with all of this learning a new language, fine tuning a language, and learning a different culture, it's got to be a bit stressful. Sometimes I imagine some of the work that you do also gets you into some highly driven. I imagine the expectations of a career. How do you practice patience, and what do you do to kind of keep yourself grounded and to just navigate this tricky career and life balance?
Right. So to be honest, like, every other people, I also think, what's next. What is my future now? And so every now and then I do self analysis. It sounds philosophical, but I do that because I feel like, you have to get a reality check. Like, where are you now, and what do you want? Because if you go with the flow of water, you'll keep going. So and that's what I have done so far. So now I'm at a place where I can, like, stop and think, like, what next. So future wise, I would like to, like, obviously good, do good and better in my career, like, professionally, be on a higher post or executive post and leadership post, and keep learning new stuff, and, using it in whatever capacity I would be working. But in addition to that, I would also like to, bring people from rural part of any country, because metropolitan cities and all, they get that they are so privileged, in the sense they get resources, they get, awareness, they have a lot of things. It's a rural part of, and I believe every country has this problem, that rural, it doesn't go till, rural part of your country or any country. So I would love to bring more people, and even more women leaders from those parts, and, I'll give them a platform where they can see that potential, once they study, or then they invest in education, how it ripe. So basically, if I could do something like that, on a platform where I can help them, to at least give them that awareness. Rest all will be their journey. They will, they will study hard, they won't like to study, it's up to them, but at least that awareness is needed. And I would, my target is that, to bring that awareness to those area, I have started doing something on those lines, but it's still under progress, yet not effective. But that's my ultimate goal, that I want to give back, like what I have learned from my own small experience. I would like it to help other to even do better than what I'm doing right now. So
I
that's my
love it.
ultimate goal.
Yeah, super powerful because it sounds like a bit of your story. So you came from a rural part of India, and it's incredibly impressive to see your success story. So there has to be so many others out there with the same potential. And wouldn't
Right.
that be a wonderful world to see the fruits of your labor too, then to give back and to really cultivate those opportunities in those rural spaces to
Hmm.
allow women's leadership to really grow. So
Okay.
what is your prediction or your expectation, maybe 100 years from now when more women in rural places have these opportunities? What can it do to make a better world?
I think it will bring us more close to the equality we seek in in wages or in opportunities, because right now even though if we seek those, we want those equality, but if you don't have those number of people, male and female ratio, how would you expect to have that equality, right? So I want to see that future where actually it doesn't matter whether we won't be talking about it, male and female equality. It should be like normal, like it's not something as a matter of debate. It should be in our like normal routine. So I would love to see that future, in after like 100
Yeah,
years.
that's incredibly prosperous, right? Plant those
Yeah.
seeds and let them grow.
Right, right. And obviously, I would like to, like the literacy rate in those states. I would love to get it, increased by a lot of percentage. I remember when I studied, when I pursued my studies back in those years, the literacy rate of that state was like women literacy was 29% only. So now it has increased to like 50 something. I would love to see that even, more, like 80%. It doesn't matter, like literacy, it doesn't mean that you have to work, like it's just that you need to have that knowledge, that that you because it makes you a better person. Like working or non-working is up to person's choice, but having knowledge is completely different, because it gives you a different perspective of life. It gives you, like an understanding of right and wrong, ethical value, a lot of things. Like, I've seen that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can differentiate
absolutely.
between knowledgeable and a non-knowledgeable person.
Yeah. That's pretty powerful because, like you said, give yourself all the tools to give yourself the choice.
Yeah,
That's pretty
right.
wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, you
Cool.
you put it so nicely. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. All right.
Mhm.
Awesome. Do you have an inspirational quote or something you'd like to share with the audience?
Absolutely. So my whole life and my whole career is based on these three words: learn and grow. And I think this, if you or anybody, like, who is listening to this show, if they will try it, I'm not forcing them to do it, but at least try it and you'll see how it impacts, your life. So, and it could be in any field, not professional. You can learn anything and you can grow, like. So I would say that these are like, this is the mantra which I followed whole, like, my life, and I still continue following it. But
I
yeah.
love it. Yeah. Learn and grow because it kind of feels good, doesn't it?
Mhm. Yeah. It gives you that
Awesome.
confidence and, like, self, like, something now. It plays with your mind also, not only with your skills. It plays with your mind, that you get that accomplishment, that you are good. You have done something good. You have learned something good. So I think it gives you a purpose. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Really important and powerful.
thank you.
Prerna, thank you so much. Let us know how people can stay in contact with you as we continue to follow you and watch how you continue to change the world. And yeah,
Mhm.
thank you so much for being a part of the show, hearing your story, hearing all the interesting challenges and the dedication, the grit, the perseverance, and the patience you have for an amazingly successful career in life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya, and thank you for providing us this opportunity, to come forward and speak up our journey, because it adds a lot of value. Like I have seen a lot of your shows, and I saw, like, how what's the journey of different women, and you learn every time, you learn something or other thing. So I really appreciate you, taking this initiative and giving us that opportunity to speak up. So thank
Thank
you.
you. And thank you so much for your story.
Yeah.
All
Um,
righty. Hold
so
on
for people to connect, do you think, should I be sharing that details right now, or can you be doing it for like
Well, here's
after?
what we can do. I certainly, on LinkedIn, I share your LinkedIn contact information. But I want to let you know, as you continue to change the world, and even in the future, if there's things that you're gonna, maybe develop, or that you want to share with us, certainly keep in touch and let us know your journey. We want to stay involved and we want to support you. And if there's anything else that we can help in that support as you change the world, we want to be a part of it.
Thank you. That means world to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Coffee Time with Kauffman is the comfortable place to discuss women's leadership, because I am on a mission to help the world discover the truth about what women are capable of. When you are ready for your leadership mastery makeover, go to mariakaufman.com and click on Consult a Coach, where you can schedule time with me for an empowerment session. Have a great week. Enjoy your adventures and journey responsibly. Thanks again, Prerna.
Thank you.